Footwork in Kung Fu includes stances, kicks, and steps. Stances mean the way a practitioner stands. There are different stances in different Kung Fu styles. For example, the meridian stance, the twisting stance, the back turning stance, the front stance, the high half-hanging stance, the quadrilateral stance, kicks mean the movements of the lower limbs to attack or defend. Whereas steps mean the way a practitioner moves his legs to advance, retreat, or go sideways. The stances in the Wing Chun system is called the Character 2 Adduction Stance, which includes 3 poses, namely the frontal stance. The whole structure of the body and legs of this stance look very similar to that of the Eiffel Tower. The sidling stance. It's formed by turning aside from the frontal stance. Therefore, it's also called the turning stance or the diagonal stance. The advancing stance. This stance converted from a frontal stance or a sidling stance by advancing one leg forward. The frontal stance is posed in such a way that the 2 feet are turned inwards to form an imaginary equilateral triangle. In this pose, the head, the trunk, and the knees are on the same straight line if seen from the side, and the back of the head forms a right angle with the soles of the feet. The most important point in training the Wing Chun stance is to form a kind of linked force between the knees. We call it the linkage effect, as if the knees are linked by a spring, which can prevent loss of balance and allows any of the legs to resume original position when being attacked. Non-adduction of the knees, thus failing to create the linking effect, causes over-relaxation of the lower limbs and renders them liable to collapse when being attacked. Some Wing Chun practitioners lower their trunks and legs too much. This not only causes them to feel very tired easily, but also causes big difficulty in moving their steps. Due to the abducting force of the Wing Chun stance, the resulting stability of the lower body gives the practitioner the advantage of moving smoothly and much quicker than the people who use a lower stance. The difference between a turning stance and a sidling stance is that the turning stance is a movement and the sidling stance is a pose. When turned, the 2 feet are placed on the diagonal line of 2 squares and all the body weight is shifted to the rear leg. The aim of the turning stance is to change the frontal stance to the sidling stance to nullify the opponent's frontal attack. However, it's not the Wing Chun practitioner who turns himself. He only makes use of his opponent's driving force to cause him to turn. Just like the turnstile at the entrance of a bank, it has no power itself. It's you who turn it. It turns in the direction you push it, and the power comes from you. Therefore, the term passivity becomes the important key in the defense concept of the Wing Chun system. A correct Wing Chun turning stance can completely nullify a heavy punching force because you actually haven't blocked or deflected his punch. You've only contacted his arm and let his coming force push you aside, so your upper body is totally out of his attacking area. Many Wing Chun people shift 30 to 50% of their body weight onto their front leg, so they're unable to clear their whole upper body from the opponent's attacking area. There are many variations in the Wing Chun steps. The most commonly used steps are the advancing steps, The sideway advancing steps. The side steps. The alternative steps and retreating steps. While moving, the front leg of the Wing Chun practitioner doesn't carry any body weight. It only acts as a subsidiary support to prevent falling forward because the whole body weight rests all the time on the rear leg and the center of gravity does not swing to the front at any moment. If you shift part of your body weight onto the front leg, you can't keep your center of gravity stable when you're pulled by your enemy and you fall forward easily. When you walk, your body weight is first shifted to the left leg as your right leg steps forward. Then your body weight is shifted to the right when your left leg steps forward. This makes your center of gravity swing left to right all the time, like the pendulum of a clock. Most Kung Fu styles use the traditional walking and running steps combined with hops and jumps, in which the center of gravity alternates in a big degree. The Wing Chun steps are designed with a unique gliding motion in which one step brings both legs forward. This enables the body weight to rest all the time on the rear leg and shortens the duration of a step because we only use one step to bring two legs forward, while our enemy has to use two steps to move two legs. Chapter 1. The Frontal Stance. Relax your whole body totally and set up the basic character 2 adduction stance. The distance between the 2 feet should be calculated as the 1.5 step of the setting stance. Your upper body should be perpendicular to the ground when you bend your knees and turn your toes outwards. Then your head, trunk, and knees form a straight line after you set up the stance. Your knees should be adducted to each other. The upper body is relaxed, respiration should be smooth, energy is exerted at the knees only. Wrong movements. Your upper body is out of the perpendicular line to the ground when you set up your stance. Don't push your bottom backwards. Or bend your upper body too much backwards.